Welcome everyone to the Reconnect Self podcast, the show that helps you rediscover yourself and ultimately what brings you joy. Today we are going to be talking about the new year, and it's a perfect time to sort of reflect, reset and refocus, and we're going to help you sort of create some visions for 2025 that hopefully inspire and energize you. My name is Scott, I'm your host, I am a filmmaker and Tracey's husband, and this is Tracey, who is a counsellor of, I think we worked out in the last episode, over 20 years experience.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
How you going?
I'm very well.
So we should probably say we have done an episode, which I think is episode 3, all about setting a vision for the future. So
Yes.
This is kind of related to that, but we've kind of tweaked it a little bit to talk more or focus more, especially on New Year's resolutions and where people get tripped up around those. Would you agree?
Yeah, they definitely do.
All right.
Or they feel the pressure to create these visions or, these
Yeah.
resolutions. I think people ask them, what are you hoping for this year? And, so we can kind of almost culturally feel like we've got this expectation that we must have a plan.
That's a good point. But do you think that it is still a good thing to tackle the new year with a bit of a vision of what you want to achieve?
I think any time that we're getting intentional with how we're living our lives is good.
Okay.
Whether that's halfway through the year, whether that's, at the beginning, I don't care when it is, when it's your birthday, but it's just that intentionality I think is really important.
Yeah. And this seems like a good time to do it.
Yeah, I think
Seems
people
like
do
a
have that.
fresh start. sort of
Yeah,
thing.
maybe it's, again, that tradition kind of thing that people kind of fall into. So if they're willing to do it around this time of the year, then it's a great time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, should we jump into it?
Yeah.
I think we wanted to start with sort of maybe talking about where people struggle with New Year's resolutions, and then we can kind of flip it on its head and talk about, well, this is maybe why you're struggling with them. This is what you can do to
I think
sort of
even maybe
improve.
before we even start that, it's kind of, especially because we've just ended a year, like reflect on that year.
Oh, yeah.
And sort of look at, what was it about that year that was great or was not so great? I know that there's people that often can put a word to a year, like they might have a goal around, that year, and their word for that year will sum that up or represent that in some way.
Yep.
And we didn't do that this year, but I was thinking almost on reflection, I feel like I've given myself a year, a word for the year.
We'll go on then.
So mine's expansion. I feel like it was a very expanding year for me. I think that we developed the Reconnect to Self retreats. That would have been years in the making in my mind, but putting them into proper actionable, tasks and creating what we did was an expansion.
Yep.
And then we've obviously got the podcast now as well. And then I did my psychedelics course, which was 5 months of quite intense,
Yeah, we haven't talked about this in terms of how much pressure it added to our life, have we? Or maybe we touched on it in...
A little bit maybe.
We might have, but yeah, you really pushed yourself.
Yeah, there was a lot of things juggling at that time.
Yeah.
So that was definitely my word when I look at that and I go, gosh, there was a lot of new things that happened this year.
Yeah.
And what about for you?
Balance, I think. I think that would be...
Yeah, you definitely, especially towards the end of the year, I think you've definitely gotten better with your balance.
Yeah. So for those who don't know my backstory, like I've been a grafter. Like my whole life I just work. I like working. I feel guilty when I'm not working. And I've always felt a pressure to earn money. That's probably a big part of it as well, do you reckon?
Not from me.
Not from you, no. And we've talked about that on other episodes where, without you in my life, there's just no way I could have achieved the things that I have achieved, because you've taken that pressure off me to earn a certain amount of money and live a certain lifestyle. The other thing if this is the right word, which is not, but you have put pressure on me to add more balance into my life and to work less.
I just highlighted those things.
Yeah, pressure was the wrong word. It wasn't pressure. It was...
Encouragement?
Encouragement.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I've got better. Like, I still feel guilty sometimes when I'm not being as productive as I would have been in the past. But that's a work in progress. But I've definitely found more balance this year in terms of work and family commitments, and obviously having time to help you when you've had so much going on this year that I've worked less and done more family stuff.
Yeah. I think you found more balance with the non-paid and the paid work. Because
Yeah.
I keep telling you, work's work.
Yeah.
Whether you're getting paid for that or whether it's just because it's for our family, it doesn't matter. It's still stuff that we're not enjoying. It's,
Yeah.
taking our energy.
Yeah.
So you've got to find that balance within that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think sometimes starting with a reflection can kind of then even maybe set you up for the year, because you go, okay, well, did I like that? Was that okay for me? Would I like that to be similar, or would I like that to be completely different? So for me personally, I don't think I want another year as expanding. Although in saying that, I came off my psychedelic course determined to go and learn breathwork until I looked into the curriculum and realised, it's going to be the same intensity of what I've just done. So mentally I've pushed that away a little bit more, I need a bit more of your balance to come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, having that reflection can allow you to sort of think, well, okay, what would I like this to either start with, or where would I like this year to take me? Because there was other years where I knew I was ready for what I just went through. Like I've had, years where I've kind of like hibernated and kind of just done my normal, but not expanded in any way. So I think it's, reflecting and then looking forward.
Okay. So you could, I assume, choose a word, or you could maybe choose an overarching vision statement, or
Whatever
whatever works for you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I haven't thought about a word for 2025 yet. I don't know what that would be.
Mine, I've already thought about that, is going to be all around either health or nutrition. Because
Yeah, I think mine would be the same. And actually, that reminds me, and it's nothing to do with this episode, but I did this yesterday, and I just feel like it's a really good life hack for people. So I'm going to share it. Whatever this topic today was about, I was going to shoehorn this into the episode, so I'm doing it now anyway. Because health, I think, is going to be a big one for me, and nutrition next year, because we've already sort of started that journey. Now, my little life hack is, so I've seen in 2024 two naturopaths, Ayurveda, which is our friend Nikki, lots and lots of podcasts and learning about nutrition.
Well, one was a homeopath, one was a naturopath.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah. And I found that I've got so much information that it was just totally overwhelming, and I didn't know what to do. So yesterday I spent a couple of hours. I pay for the membership to ChatGPT. I think it's $30 Australian a month, which is probably like $20 US a month. And if you haven't used it yet, there's a function in there where you can build your own GPT. Basically what that means is you just click on My GPTs and you teach it what you want it, and you can do as many as you want. So I actually have one for this show, and it helps me sort of do the run sheets for the show and whatever. The one I worked on yesterday was around my health. So I took all of these like 10-page, 20-page reports that were full of jargon, and I uploaded them into my GPT, and I said, here's a bit of a backstory about, my health issues. You can watch an episode on that, the holistic health episode, maybe episode 7, can't remember. If you want my backstory, I'm not going to go into that. And I basically said to it, I'm overwhelmed with all of this information. Here it all is. Can you disseminate that into something that I can use? And just simple things like a shopping list or, a list of foods that are going to be good for me, that are good for my system, that sort of fit with the Ayurveda and the homeopath and the naturopath.
Yeah.
And I've ended up with one A4 sheet of paper that I'm going to stick up in my office on the wall. That's just foods. Mm-hmm. And so I just thought that was a little life hack that I wanted to share with people, that if you're in the same boat as me, where sometimes it's just overwhelming, you're getting so much advice, you don't know what to do, there's a little tip for you.
Perfect.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. We got that in.
I think it was relevant. I think that's perfect for people to
You
maybe
could
use in
actually,
the...
you probably could do one to set your vision for 2025.
Yeah, break it down into actual steps.
How are you going to do it? Like, this is like, don't get me wrong, I'm not a huge fan of AI, and it scares me a little bit where it's going to go, but there are really, really useful parts to it to make your life easier and to help you achieve what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
And so you could absolutely use it to go through some of the stuff, or some of the stuff we went through on episode 3 around creating a vision, and just make your life easier, because sometimes this stuff can feel overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to jump into... we're calling them New Year's resolutions, but it's just around this time of year. A lot of people do them, and we want to give you some advice around how to make them maybe a little bit more actionable and something that you can stick to, and maybe places where people have gone wrong that you've seen in your practice.
Yep.
All right. What's your first bit of advice?
Well, setting realistic goals. So I think sometimes people might put goals in there that are either too loose in a way that is just like a vague, oh, I want to lose weight, or I want to save money, or I want to travel more.
Yep.
But it can just be a loose kind of idea, and that's where it stays.
Yep.
You know, there's nothing really anchoring that to a real desire that you want that change.
Yep.
And so sometimes they can almost fall into common ones that other people do, you know, especially off the back of Christmas and the festive season where we're eating more and we're drinking more and we're probably not moving as much. And I think you can probably start the January feeling a bit sluggish. And so you do think, oh, I need to eat better and I need to lose weight and I need to get healthier.
Yep.
But they're just vague ideas.
Yeah, which actually probably does tie into what I was just talking about, because I could have the general vision for 2025 that we're going to eat better.
Yeah, what does that mean?
What does that mean? What does it look like?
Yeah.
Well, already I've now got a list of specific foods that I am going to buy.
Yeah, and incorporate more.
My next bit will be meal plans. I'm going to use ChatGPT to help me build meals plans using the ingredients that is on my list. And you can tell it stuff like, you know, these are the types of foods I like. My Ayurveda profile, or I'm not sure what the actual word is. Nikhil. Constitution. Is with food, I like warm, or my constitution is warm, wet. So, you know, not smoothies with ice in them, not really cold salads. If I was going to have a salad, I should probably figure out some way to make it warm.
Warmer,
and,
yeah.
you know, some cooked chicken or whatever to warm it up. Maybe I could even cook the spinach if I was using spinach. I can put all of that in there and say, right, these are all the things that I need to factor in. Now give me some meal ideas that I can incorporate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that make it be something that you're actually genuinely wanting, you know, not just in that real vague kind of way.
That's a really good point.
You know, it's got to be that you're going to have that motivation to take those steps, not just it sounds good.
Yeah, because when what we're talking about with nutrition, I really want it.
Yeah. And I also think that you've got to be realistic in terms of where are you in your life at that time. Sometimes people can come to me and they'll have goals, and it will be whatever time throughout the year that they're saying they need to do things. And they'll be really mean to themselves. And this is why we'll pick up on it, is they're being mean to themselves about needing to lose weight or thinking that they're overweight. And I'll say to them, do you feel right now in your life with all the stuff that you've going on, because I would have known obviously all the things going on in their life, is that where you can put your energy? Is that what you want to put your energy on? And if they're saying no, I say, don't you dare be mean to yourself then.
Yeah.
If you're knowing that you don't have the capacity right now for whatever reasons, how are you being horrible to yourself for not doing that when you're already knowing that's just not where you've got the available time or energy to free up to, you know, make those changes.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to be realistic around that. Like if you're, you know, suddenly it's January and you're like, yeah, I need to do this because it's January, but January you've got in-laws over, you're going out for dinner every 5 minutes because you're socializing so much. Don't beat yourself up that you're not starting that right then. That's not going to work for you.
Yeah. You'd be far better off planning.
Yes. And go, what could be the step that I could do right now while the family's over, while I'm eating all this, you know, crazy food. Maybe it's going, I make sure that my breakfast is really good.
Yep.
Or I make sure that my hydration is kept up.
I think it was in the expectations episode, like just even doing one thing.
Yeah.
One thing is a powerful concept.
Well, that also means that when you're thinking about something, you're going, yeah, but you did drink your water, or you did go for that walk, or you did do that, whatever that one thing was,
Yep.
that you can be kind to yourself going, even though I know I can't get to all of the other things that I know that would make a difference, that one thing is still contributing towards that. It's still a step towards it.
Yeah. And I might be stealing from other things here, but I think sort of touching on what you're talking about there is if you're mean to yourself about it, there's no way you're going to stick to it.
No, and you just feel terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, why would you want to create that for yourself?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
have
again,
to look
just be
after
kind.
yourself
Yeah.
and nurture yourself through this process.
And that's why you've got to check the timing. Is that timing okay?
Yeah.
Is that going to work for me that I'm putting all this energy into that particular thing? Or is that needing to be delayed a little bit?
Yeah.
Yep. So getting really realistic with, with that. And then, again, that moves into our next one, which is kind of moving into having a clear plan.
Yeah.
And that could be having that goal. So like you said, it could be, the eating healthier, but breaking it down and going, what does that actually look like? A really good tip for people, and I would really encourage anyone to do this, and I have banged on about this in other episodes, but go and get your health checked, from a holistic practitioner, not necessarily your doctor. I want all your levels looked at. We just did this over the weekend with all of our children. We took them to see Penny, the lady next door to me in my office, and all of them have, loads of stuff, kind of
Gluten-free, dairy-free,
yeah, different needs that they've got. And so again, like we were saying about overwhelming, that can be a lot of information that we're taking in and trying to figure out. But again, it's going, what could just be the actionable steps we can start with now? And, we can move towards the ultimate goal of, getting on top of all of those things, but what can we start with right now? One thing we started with was switching both of our girls to rice crackers instead of bread for sandwiches. I mean, Aliana wasn't having bread anyway, she was having sayos, but that still had gluten and wheat in them. So just switching her to the rice crackers, and she actually said she prefers them. So that was a little win.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
And switching from normal pasta to gluten-free pasta, because we got a lot of information. We got 3 kids, so a lot of information for each kid, and you're looking at it going, oh my God, where do I start? So we're not going to beat ourselves up about it. There's 2 things we've done straight away.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to work on with my little GPT, some meal plans for the kids. And I'll do the same. I'll upload all the information about them and their intolerances and foods that they should be having. And even if it takes us the whole year,
doesn't matter.
I'm going to get there eventually, and with each little step will be an incremental improvement.
And that's what I think as well is that build up of, what is the plan that's going to get you, over here to your goal. I remember when I'd had Amelia and I knew I wanted to get back to the gym, but I knew I wasn't quite ready, in the few months that after I'd had her. And so I did a little workout plan on Pinterest. And I think it started with 10 squats, 10 push-ups, 10 leg raises or something. Yeah. And then every day it went up. And so even just hitting that little tiny goal each day it wouldn't take me very long. And I could even break them up and not even do them all in a row. But just hitting that little thing where I'm like, okay, you're not ready for the gym just yet, but this is something.
Yes. Because then you're getting the good feelings and the positive feelings rather than the beating yourself up.
Yep.
For what you haven't done.
And I feel like as well, it really did prep me for getting back into the gym rather than just being slammed back into these full-on classes.
Yeah.
Instead, it got my body a little bit, back into that state.
Yeah.
So I think just starting small is perfect. You want to just be chipping away at those baby steps and not feeling like, oh, it's January 1st, so I must be at the gym 4 times a week, eating really well every single day, drinking loads of water, you know, all those healthy habits that you want to eventually get to. It can be very full on starting with all of them in one go amongst everything else that you've got going on.
Yeah. Which I think is tip number 3, all or nothing thinking there we've put is one of the things that trips people up.
Yeah. And it could even be, again, with your goals, it could be going, I want to move my body more. So you might know that primarily is going to be from the gym, if that's your preference. But even just by having it be move your body more, that means that, okay, well, that means I can go for a walk, I can go for a run, I can go for a dance, on a Saturday night. Yeah. It's whatever it looks like to you that's moving your body and making you feel like, yeah, that is good. I don't have to just do it in a gym environment, or I can do it outdoors, whatever that might be. So, get really clear with, how can you chip away at those things or not have it be, that's my 4 gym sessions.
Yeah.
If it's a health-related one.
I think this episode just fits in perfectly with what this whole podcast is about.
Looking after yourself.
Yeah, and being kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next one is not relying solely on motivation. And that ties back into your wellness checks. Lots of my clients, I think loads of us have got imbalances, but lots of the clients I talk to definitely do. And they will just think they're lazy. They will just think, oh, something wrong with me, I'm so lazy. And then going through my own health journey this year, and I've always been a person that's gone to the gym and been quite active, I did not have any motivation. And I realised, it's not motivation, it's energy. I had no energy. And so when you're depleted, you don't have that extra energy to give to any extra tasks. So you're not lacking in motivation, you're unbalanced. That's what I would say to people.
Yeah.
You know, especially if it's something that you used to enjoy. If it's something you used to enjoy, then it's probably that you're depleted, there's something going on for you, so go and get that checked. If you'd never enjoyed that, then that's more of a motivation thing.
Well, let's talk about you personally, because two things have happened in the last couple of months. You haven't gone to the beach as much as you did last year, and you've taken a break from the gym.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, because my body wasn't absorbing nutrients, which my friend that studies Ayurveda figured out. Like I'd gone to see my colleague Penny, and she told me all the deficiencies I had going on and recommended a bunch of protocols or things that I could do, to help that. But I think I mentioned in previous episodes, my digestive fire was not breaking down my food, which is why I wasn't absorbing nutrients. So it meant that I was feeling really depleted. Like I was running off fumes. And then on top of all the extra things I've had on this year, I just was stretched so thin that I just didn't have anything more to give. And where, even though I was waking up sometimes at the same time, like I go to a 5 a.m. gym class. So usually I've got to go to bed early and, get up at that time. And I was waking up and I was finding that I just didn't have the energy to get out of bed. Or actually I would go and lay outside or do something else, but I just wouldn't have the energy to exercise.
So what was your self-talk during that period?
Well, I knew what was going on for me, so I actually gave myself permission to go, you're going to deplete yourself for the rest of the day if you go there this morning. So you might enjoy it, it might be fine, but come 3 o'clock, I'm going to be drained because I've used all that energy. And what I also realised from when I did a talk where I was using a lot of adrenaline, it depletes my minerals.
Yeah.
And so all that sweating and releasing of fluids and things is going to deplete
all
my
the salts in your body and stuff.
Yeah. So I think that for me, I was being kind about that. And I have just started going back to the beach, and that was feeling, quite nice. But I haven't gone back to doing weights or anything yet, but I've started actually craving it a little bit. So even that's a nice shift.
What's your plan around that? Like, I think it's good for people to hear your insights for you personally.
So part of it's just figuring out where I feel up to. So like I said, I went to the beach, and even this morning I went to the beach and I did water walking. So for me, that was almost like a resistance, like as if you're wearing resistant bands. It was quite hard actually. But that was a little baby step for me. So it was almost the equivalent to when I had Emmy and I did the Pinterest, pre-workout before going back to the gym. I feel like I'm almost at that point now where will start doing my own weights and things and just figure out my own workouts compared to going into my gym and slamming out, 45 minutes of a hard class.
Yep.
I'll probably ease into my own workouts and then go back when I'm ready.
And so what are you telling yourself when you're coming home from the beach this morning? Like,
good job.
You're proud of yourself. So it's all positive.
Oh yeah,
You're not thinking about what you haven't done. You're focusing on what you have done.
Yeah, I have been really kind to myself where I'm not focusing on any lack. Instead, it's just that kind nurturing. This is what you need right now. You need to just slow down more. You need to just nurture yourself right now.
And you don't have a date set for when you're going back to the gym? You're going to base
I do have it's on hold, so I do have a date. And I had it quite a long way away just so I could bring it forward if I needed to, which was kind of at the end of the year. But I actually think that I'll just keep the date for the end of the year and go as much or as little as I feel like I need to.
Okay.
Because I also thought that in my gym they do ice baths and saunas. So even if I was just going to go once a week, I could still utilise the other facilities and, do some different health benefits.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Good. Where are we up to? Number 5, is it?
Yeah. So, feeling that external pressure to meet goals compared to, your own internal desire. So it's kind of similar to what we were saying about the unrealistic goals. So rather than just having the arbitrary, I want to lose weight or I want to save money or whatever, what is your internal goal? So if it was to lose weight, for example, why are you wanting to lose weight?
Yeah.
Is it because you want to feel better, you want to sleep better, you want more energy? Like, what is it about? Like, try and look at what's really underneath it all.
Yeah.
It
should usually be looking good, I would say, is a big one for people.
Yeah, but I think that if people are just stuck on looking good, they won't maintain that energy around it. Whereas if they're going, I really want to sleep better and I want to feel better, like, and again, that feeling good in your own skin, that's going to be more of a driver than that looking good, because it takes a little while for that to actually be noticeable.
Yeah.
Whereas the feeling good is going to feel there first.
And that ties back into the motivation.
Yeah.
Right.
And then again with your, beautiful self-talk, encouraging you, patting yourself on the back. Like if I've gone to the gym really early in the morning, I'll usually give myself a pat on the back for doing that because I'm like, that's hard. Like getting up that early is, not easy.
You have done a physical pat on the back, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll go, good job, me. Yeah, because I also think that, in life, I'm a parent, I'm my own boss, like, where am I getting feedback from? Don't get me wrong, my clients are beautiful and they do give me lots of feedback, but I'm responsible for that too.
Yeah.
Giving myself feedback. Yep.
That's an important just life skill. I mean, it's nothing to do with New Year's resolutions, but just since you mentioned it, that's something that I really struggle with, was relying on external validation. And I would feel good. So especially when I had a corporate job and was answering to a lot of people, if I put a piece of work out and people all said, oh, that was really good, then I'd feel good. And if they didn't, then I'd feel bad. And I never really actually considered what I thought about that piece of work and what I thought about the effort that I put in to achieve that.
Yep. And I think that's right, because I think that if we're waiting for someone to notice that we've lost weight or notice that we've done something different, when they haven't noticed that, we can lose motivation from that. Oh, what's the point? Now no one's noticing.
Yeah.
Compared to, actually, I'm proud of me that I stuck to my meal plan and I just had that. Or I'm proud of me for going for the walk today or moving my body or going to bed early and getting enough sleep. Like, you give yourself that feedback. I'm
trying to think of, what changes I made, because I'm much better at that now. And if I think about it, it's probably the self-awareness of noticing it. Yeah, definitely. That's with any change. We've first got to notice what's happening and what we're doing or how we're reacting. And then it's through that noticing that we can make a choice about how to respond differently. Yeah. Okay. But otherwise we're in our reactions and we have no insight. Yeah. So, and there would be tons of people like that. Yeah. Because that's a hard one. I think there must be something programmed in us as kids or whatever, where getting external praise is such a nice feeling that you're always craving it. Well, I think because when we're little, we have to fit into our families and do what's expected of us. And so therefore meeting other people's needs and expectations of us is kind of inbuilt from that. Yeah. And it's not until we're in our teenage years that we're kind of individuating, we're pulling away and we're looking at our own needs. And for some people that might have been really hard at that time. They might not have been able to really individuate. Their family might have really made them stay, kind of connected and meeting all the expectations of everybody else. And they've not really looked at themselves and what they need. Yeah. Okay. So if you're out there and you, like I used to be, and really relied on that external validation, and you're looking to have a vision for the new year, like be your own support crew and pat yourself on the back the way that Tracey does. Even a little physical pat on the back. Yeah. I remember you used to tell me to do that, and I did. I started doing. Yep. Okay, next one. So people might struggle with a lack of support or accountability. So build into your plan, maybe people that are going to support you in that goal. So like I said before, if you're wanting to start with something like health, go and see somebody first that's going to help you with your figuring out what's going on for you. It could be you're going to go to a new gym or, your normal gym. Can you get someone that's going to support you as a PT, or you're going to go to small classes, or can you get a gym buddy that you're going to go with? Like, how are you having someone to help you reach those goals and to make sure that, they're checking in with you, or you're just giving them updates about how you're going? Because if it's just to ourselves, it can be easy to kind of let that slide and to kind of kid ourselves or, be easy on ourselves. Whereas if we've got someone that we're either meeting at the gym or is going to say how you're going with your writing that you're wanting to do or whatever the task is. So having someone that's going to inquire about that is making us much more accountable. In fact, lots of my clients will often say, they might not have seen me for 3 weeks and they'll go, yeah, he only did his homework like 2 nights ago or last night, because they'll know they're going to see me, but they would have left it for 2.5 weeks. Yeah. And then only at the last second done whatever it is that they've been asked to do. So they only did it because they were coming back in, but they still did it. Yeah. Yeah. Whereas had they not seen me for another 3 weeks, they wouldn't have done that for another 3 weeks. So even just having that accountability of knowing that someone's going to be asking you about that. Well, you've had that with Bron and getting up at, before your class starts at 5, doesn't it? Yeah. You get up at
4:30.
4:30, and you go with one of your best friends.
Yeah.
And so that's on many, many occasions, especially in the winter when it's cold and dark outside, knowing that she is going to be there waiting for you.
Yes. Gets me there. That can also work in reverse, because if she cancels, I'm like, yeah, I'm going back to bed too. So that's happened many times. But she's actually really, really motivated now. So she's not been cancelling at all. But there was a period of time when she was, and that's where me being part of a class where there was other people there that I was going to know meant that I would still go lots of those times.
Yeah.
Whereas the times when I felt like the class has changed and I don't really know as many of the people, that's harder to get out of bed if she's not going to be there, because I'm kind of like, oh, who am I going to partner with? And I'm just going to stay in bed.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously I'm making that decision really super early in the morning, so it's very easy to talk myself out of getting up and going in the cold.
I was trying to think who my accountability partner is, but it has to be you.
Yeah.
Just for life.
Yeah, it probably
life in
is.
general.
Yeah. So yeah, I think having someone to support you on those goals, whatever they may be, whether it's saving money, whether it's, getting more travel in or whatever.
Yeah. Good.
Okay, next one. People have too many resolutions. And again, I feel like that could come down to, are these truly what you're wanting, or is it just this big laundry list of all these changes you want to make because you feel like your life's not in a good spot and you need this and this and this and this and this to be different?
Yeah.
And I think if you start with too many, you might jump in straight away and start actioning some, but very quickly it can feel overwhelming and too much. And as too much change happens in one time, it can feel, tough.
Yeah.
So I would say break that down to, an example of that could be when our couples come on our couples retreat, I get them to always, after every section, write down a goal they've got for that particular section that they might be doing different or wording differently or whatever it might be. But I say to them, when you finish the retreat, you might end up with 10 or 12 goals, but you don't start with all of them. You would be really overwhelmed if you're starting with all of them. It's better off that you choose one or two, and then you just get really, really good at, remembering those and being conscious to those. And you can make sure that your partner knows about that. And in this case, it could be, your family or your friends know that I'm just focusing on this right now. I've still got these other ones that, are important to me, but right now I'm starting with my hydration, for example.
Well, and I think if your list is too long, it's just going to feel overwhelming.
Yes.
And then you're going to feel bad
that you didn't achieve
maybe you've
it.
done one, but you haven't done the other 9 that are on the list.
Yeah.
You got to set yourself up for success for this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's for whatever reason, it made me think about I'll be happy when.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's totally related.
Well,
but
it is, because that's where I always tell people to have feeling state goals compared to, kind of an arbitrary number on a scale. And the reason for that is exactly that people can kind of go, I'll be happy when I lose 5 kilos, I'll be happy when I have this much in my bank, I'll be happy when, and it's all those sort of things compared to, I feel good in my clothes, I feel comfortable in my own skin. Like that kind of thing is a better goal than just this number on the scale, because also it could be that you've lost that weight, but your self-talk is still terrible.
Yeah, let's just take a bank account or the mortgage thing, which we might have talked about before, but I'll be happy when the mortgage is paid off.
Yeah.
And then the mortgage is paid off, you're still unhappy, and so you just pick the next thing.
Yeah.
I'll be happy when I buy the BMW.
Yeah.
Then you buy the BMW, you're not happy.
Because it's not about that.
Yeah.
Like life is the journey.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big one. That's only something I've come to terms with or wrapped my head around in the last couple of years.
I think that's probably why people have midlife crises.
Yeah.
I think they get to the point where they go, I've got the car, I've got the house, I've got the boat, I've got the stuff, and they're still not happy because they were doing a job that they didn't like, their relationships are fractured, they've got no balance, they could be all these things. They've got all the stuff, they've got all the jet skis and the,
Well, you look at some of the reality shows that we watch as a bit of a switch off, which I'm not ashamed to say, we watch a bit of reality.
You're a little bit ashamed to say.
But I like seeing how the other half lives, like some of the crazy stuff that they experience. But I'm convinced that the majority of those people have got to that position in life because they're never happy, and it's always what's next, what's next, what's next.
I'll be happy when I get to that new promotion or that new car or that new location that
like
I'm going to...
the real estate one that we watch, $1 Million Listing. You've got people running these massive real estate agencies, have the biggest house, the best cars, but all they ever talk about is, because money's not an issue, they've got enough money, it's got to get to 100 million worth of sales.
Yeah.
Got to get to 500 million.
Yeah.
And then I got to get to 1 billion.
I've got to open that new office in that other location. I've got to
Yes.
get another lot of sales agents and da-da-da-da-da.
Yep.
It's just more and more and more. And the good thing that they show on that show as well is the struggle with the balance around family.
They show the wife having a mental breakdown.
Yeah, because she didn't have any support. She felt like she wasn't really seeing her husband. Yeah, so it showed their relationships weren't really that strong because they were stretched too thin.
Yep.
Yeah, so people are prioritising, things that aren't really giving them the connections that they want, the relationships that they want. They're just prioritising stuff and money in the bank.
Yep.
And external validation. They're getting the pats on the back from everyone saying how amazing they are or how cool their car is or whatever. But
Yes.
they're not feeling it. And I think that's when they get to the point where they go, what's this all about? I've got all this stuff and I'm still not happy. What's the meaning of all this? And that's when I think we get the midlife crisis, because people are going, and that's where people usually wake up and become spiritual. Or quite often.
Well, not on that show. A lot of them just keep going to the next goal. I don't think any of them are truly working.
Not those ones, but people that truly have a breakdown.
Yeah.
They kind of come to the other point of going, what am I doing in my life? Does this mean anything?
Yeah.
Yeah. And people can make big changes at that point. Like I've heard lots of different stories where people have been millionaires and they've gone and sold it all and gone and set up charities in Asia and, done massive life changes just coming from that place of not being content with the stuff.
Because it's about purpose.
Yeah.
Like, people are most happy if they have a purpose and they're achieving something that's usually involved around helping people. And that's why this show is so important to us, is
We want to help people.
we're helping people, and that feels nice.
So I think as well with you setting the goals for the year, it's nice because you're being intentional about how you want your life to look and not just living that Groundhog Day that, is kind of so boring and not really giving us the meaning in life, or not giving us the journey of making everything more balanced, more connected, kind of having the life that we want. Instead, we're just kind of running on fumes half the time with being pulled in all these different directions and not being really clear about what we want. I remember a few years ago, one of our friends, he must have done the word for the year, because I think his was no. He was going to say no. And it was driving his wife crazy because it was almost too far. Like, he was saying no to so many things. And it was because he realised he was being pulled in too many different directions and he needed to learn to say no. But he took that quite far until he pulled it back a little bit. And
He was the opposite of that Jim Carrey movie.
Yeah.
The yes man.
He was the no man.
Oh man, I ain't doing that.
Yep. Our next one is...
before you do, something that popped into my head while we were chatting is some ideas for potential themes for the new year is, I want to be more grateful.
Yeah.
Or I want to become a little bit more spiritual, or some of the stuff that you've learned from this show, you could maybe
incorporate
into you, because it doesn't have to be around fitness or nutrition. It can be...
Could be journaling.
Mindset.
Yeah, it could be journaling. It could be starting your day off in a certain way. It could be making sure your sleep routine is a bit better than what it previously has been. It could be, like us, making sure it's a particular nutritional need being met.
Yeah. Awesome.
The next one is, people might struggle with their resolutions because they're not addressing underlying patterns that are there. Like we always talk about, we're running off our patterns and things. And so if someone's not actually looking at why do I do certain behaviours at certain times, and they're not addressing that underlying need or compulsion, then it could be really hard to then override that. So that's where you might need some supports, to come and support you with that, whether it's therapy, whether it's, a health goal could be getting someone else to identify it. Like, for example, if someone's eating a lot when they're anxious or they're depressed, it might be that that's just a habit they've done because they get the dopamine hit, they get the, the good feeling of eating the sugar or whatever it is. But it also could be an imbalance underneath that's making them crave those foods at that time.
So if your New Year's resolution is lose weight, but you haven't dealt with the underlying issue
of imbalance,
or what is actually causing your anxiety.
Yep, or how you cope with stressful situations. Like if you haven't learned a different way of doing that, if you haven't learned some grounding techniques, you haven't learned, to call your friend and distract yourself or whatever it might be, then you will be probably really pulled back into those habits that haven't truly been addressed.
Yeah. Here's a question. Do you need a New Year's resolution?
No, you don't at all. But I think we need to be intentional.
Yeah, because I thought that the episode we did about creating a vision is a very powerful episode. And if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend you go and check it out after this one. So I think that is really important. But, if I guess you sort of said this earlier, if now's not the right time, you don't feel like you need to do it.
No, and it could even just be going, what am I wanting to add in more of and what am I wanting to let go of? It could even just be as loose as that, and you're kind of letting go of pressure on yourself. You're letting go of external expectations. That could just be as loose as that. And then, you're looking at, well, what are the practices I'm doing to kind of block out the external, expectations on me and just focus on me.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, I think that's the end of the tips list. We sort of stole our thunder on the whole reflect on the previous year, didn't we? Is there anything you want to add to that? Or
No, I think that we covered our previous year pretty well. But one thing that, to note is when you're reflecting on the previous year, there might be something in there that makes you sets you up for, something you want to add into the next year. So that's an example about you coached a couple of times this year, Tommy's soccer team.
Yeah, so I was not the coach, but I was a parent who volunteered to help if the coach was away on holidays or whatever. And so I coached, I think, 3 games and a bunch of training sessions this year. And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you loved it.
I never thought that I would enjoy spending time with 15-year-old boys. But they're such a good group of kids.
They are.
And because I coached Tommy when he was 8 and 9, I think, or 9 and 10. And I always thought, once they get older, I'm not as interested. But I really enjoyed, because I feel like I can teach them a lot, not just about soccer, but about life.
Yeah.
And because I feel like soccer and probably sport in general is a bit of a, I think microcosm is the right word, little microcosm of life. There's going to be challenges that you have to overcome. You need to have the right attitude. You need to play hard.
You need to be a team. You need to work together.
Yeah.
Support each other.
There's lots of stuff that I feel like I can teach them around that. So I put my hand up for 2025 because the coach couldn't do it next year to be his coach. And so that's what I'm going to do. And I also sort of viewed it that it's going to be under 16s and there is no under 17s. Like you basically, I think there might be under 18s, but a lot of the kids don't do that. Like under 16s is usually like, okay, I'm done with soccer now, or they go on and try and play as an adult. So it's my last chance to kind of have that connection with Tommy, but also, with
But I think if you hadn't reflected on those times and how you enjoyed that, you might not have put that plan in for the next year.
Correct.
Yeah. So I think and again, if I hadn't reflected on mine and how busy that was, all that excitement I had when I was looking at the breathwork would have meant that I signed myself up for some sort of breathwork course early in the year, and then it would have been I get to that point and go, oh my gosh, I'm not ready for that. That's
what have I done?
That's too soon. Right after I've had the other intense period of time. So I think reflect on your year, and then that can maybe help you set you up for what you want different or the same. You might go, actually, I really loved it. I was not pulled around as much into many different directions. So people that are parents and you're driving kids around to all the different sports, it might be you gave your kids, 2 sports this year, and then now you're going, actually, I'm bringing it back to 1 because that was madness trying to get them all the different trainings, and it just added too much pressure to the whole household. So it's reflecting on, did it work? Did it not? What could we do differently? Because it could even be incorporating more help. Can I ask a grandparent to pick them up from one of the trainings or take them to one of the trainings? Can I incorporate other parents and do a rotation system? Like, what is it that I can add in that could be different for next year to make it a bit better? So in that way, it doesn't have to be a whole vision. It could just be going, I think I need some more support. How could that happen?
Have we talked about kids' sport much on this show? Because I am passionate about this one, and I know you are too. around the pressure that parents put on themselves to have their kids playing all sorts of sports. And we have 3 kids, and so we're having a summer off, which is
magical,
amazing, because in the winter, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
and Friday,
and Sunday.
Yes, it's only Saturday.
We had 6 days a week during this winter just gone, and that was just each playing one sport.
Yep. And when Emmy did cheer, that was a Saturday morning, so it was actually 7. It was actually 7 days.
Yeah. So we are huge advocates for. Just ask yourself, why am I doing this? Like, if your kid loves it and they absolutely want to play 2 sports or whatever it is, great. But I'm just passionate about, don't feel the mum guilt or the dad guilt to do it because that's what you think you should be doing.
Yeah. And also reflect on your kid and go, is that too much for them? Because I know that lots of parents comment to me in sessions about how their kids are just exhausted. Yeah. And, sometimes it could start off that they've started in a dance school, for example, and then now that the teachers are saying, oh, you could do jazz as well, or you could do da-da-da, and suddenly they're doing 3 different dance classes a week. They're going straight after school. They're spending 4 hours there. They're exhausted. Yep. Parents aren't getting home till 8 o'clock at night cooking dinner. Yep. Like, it really adds a lot of pressure and stress to a family. So just really weigh that up, because you've got to make sure it's working for the whole family, not just for that one kid or that one person, a family member.
Yeah. And we saw that firsthand with our youngest. So she was doing cheerleading and she was good at it. Like, she was genuinely good. And I really liked how it kind of matured her. Like, she was 7 or 8 when she was doing it.
Yeah.
And she really stepped up. Like, I felt like, she would pack her bag and she would carry all her stuff. And I thought that was all amazing. And she was doing it on Saturday morning, which really worked for her. Then the coach has said she was so good to get her into the next level up, which then switched it to, was it like a Tuesday and Thursday but it was during the week and it was after school. And immediately, and good on her for telling us, but she's like, no, I don't like it. And we kind of figured out that it was because she was going straight from school to cheer for 2 hours, getting home and eating, was knackered.
Yeah.
And so we pulled her out of it.
Well, she also wasn't having fun anymore.
She'd lost her friends.
Yeah, she'd gone up that next level and she didn't feel like it was as fun. It was a bit too serious now, and there wasn't that incidental little chit-chats with her friends and silliness and whatever that made it fun. Yeah. Instead, it was quite strict and she didn't enjoy that. So, she's not going to the Olympics. We're going to keep her in there. So, we're very good at being able to be like, do you want to do something? Great. If you don't, we live across from the park. We've got a trampoline. We've got a pool. There's loads of things that they can do to keep active. And we're quite social with, other people's kids. So we don't feel like our kids need an organised sport to be active.
Yeah. So if you're into that, great. But don't feel like you have to be. Take that pressure off yourself.
Yeah. Don't stress yourself out for it.
Okay. That was another little sojourn somewhere else, but I say some of these words and I'm not 100% on the definition, but I think sojourn is
quite the risk.
Yeah. Do you want to give any quick strategies on how to stay aligned with your vision?
Well, maybe check in with yourself and kind of keep the vision alive. So for some people, they might, be crafty and they might want to actually create a whole vision board or, see it in pictures or just put images down. And that can be a visual reminder and kind of keep you focused. A little one for me when I was trying to be kind to myself was putting that picture on the mirror. And so again, we call them like a pattern interrupter. So having something visual, it could be your word on the fridge, it could be, your vision that's in pictures, or it could be literally a photo to remind yourself to be kind to yourself, whatever it might be. Some people do that to remind them to not eat in the fridge. Like they have a photo of themselves at their, ideal weight and they'll just be like, nope, turn away from the fridge as soon as I see that photo. But again, it's just creating pattern interrupters to make sure it's staying in our conscious brain. We're not going back into our old habits as soon as things slip out of our consciousness. That could be that, you're checking in with someone, whether it's a therapist, whether it's, an accountability buddy, whether it's just you checking with yourself the first of every month, whatever it might be. But I think that just trying to have a process for yourself to make sure that you're keeping going. And maybe it's even having that plan of going, right, I'm going to, for the first 2 weeks, just focus on my water intake. And then for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to focus on my breakfast. So even just checking in with yourself and patting yourself on the back going, well, I did that 2 weeks of my water. Now I'm ready to move on to the next baby step in my plan.
And a quick word on what happens if you have a setback.
Just be kind to yourself and kind of look at the context around it, like what led to that setback. If it was, you didn't get to the gym, what got in the way? Was it you weren't packed from the night before? Did you not go to bed early enough? Did you not eat well enough and that's when you felt rubbish in the morning? Like what was it that got in the way?
Yep.
And then how can you plan for that in the future and make sure that was going to be different? But it's just having always be a lesson and a learning, not a beating yourself up and, once again, you didn't do it. Instead going, why do you keep getting stuck with that? What is it about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And just being real with yourself. Because if it's going, I'm not ready for this right now, then it's just being honest with yourself and going, well, where else can I start that wouldn't feel such a big step?
Yeah. Like, don't give up.
Yeah.
Like,
what's the littlest step that you can take? Because sometimes it can even be, I'll say to someone, you want to make more friends. You're not ready to go out there and join a social group just yet. You're a bit nervous about that. But why don't your first step just be what's around you? What's in the area? If you were Googling, breathwork classes, if you were joining a new cycling club, what's in your area? Just so you know when you're ready to take that step, what's kind of around.
Yeah. Great. I think we did a pretty thorough job.
Great.
Anything else you want to add?
Just being kind to yourself. I think that's the theme of every show. It's just always going to be, just be gentle with yourself, be real with yourself. And when I say real with yourself, it's going, is this the right time? And if it's not, just be kind to yourself and say, that's okay.
Yep.
What else could I be doing that's okay? And for example, if I'm looking at wellness, just sitting in the sun and getting some vitamin D could be a perfect first step. And it's not really that big of a, motivator. It's not going to take any energy. It's just going, I'm going to have my cup of tea outside.
Yeah. Beautiful. Any message? Because this is our last episode for the year. We're calling this the end of season 1. We will start season 2 in February of 2025. Do you have a little message that you
Well,
want
I just want to thank everyone for their beautiful support. Like, I think we've gotten so many lovely messages. We obviously put this out there and don't really know how it's going to land and resonate for people. So when we do get that feedback, it does actually mean a lot because, we want to make sure that it's helpful.
Yeah.
So thank you for those that have reached out and given us that feedback. We really appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a journey. We've sort of figured this out as we've been going.
On the fly.
But I know you do too. I truly believe in it. I believe that, this could help a lot of people.
Yeah. And I think next year we're going to try and have some guests on. So it won't just be Scott and I chatting away. We'll try and get some people on that, can also add some value.
Yeah. I need to figure out how to do that via video. So that's on my list of things to figure out.
We'll start off with in-person people.
Yeah, that would be easier.
Yeah. But thanks everyone's support. We really appreciate it. And we do hope that you have a lovely rest of your 2024 and that you really take the time to stop and reflect and be proud of what you've achieved. Even if they're just little small things that you've done to get you through the year, to cope, just be proud of yourself. Being human is hard. Like, it's a lot of life admin. There's a lot of work to be done. If you're a parent, it's on a whole nother level. But I think just being human is full on.
Yeah, agree. Yeah. And I would echo everything that Tracey said. It's been amazing. And if you do want to show any gratitude to us, a good way to do that would be like leave a review on Apple or Spotify. Even, just liking and subscribing if you're on YouTube, or adding a comment. Add a comment on Spotify, like all of those things. Because, it's been great and we've learned a lot, but we want to keep growing and sharing this with more people. And that's a simple way that you can help us out. So, thank you. And the emails and stuff has been lovely. Okay, I just want to quickly reiterate the Christmas giveaway that we talked about. I'm not sure I called it a Christmas giveaway, but the Other Ship giveaway, which is the Breathwork app that we highly recommend. I did mention this in the last episode, so what we're going to do before the end of 2024 is pick a follower on Instagram of Tracey, which is at traceyquayle.therapy, if you don't already follow her, and it's for 6 months free membership to this Breathwork app that you speak very highly of.
I do speak highly of it.
Unsolicited, not paid for.
No, I genuinely use it every day and I love it.
Yes. So if you follow Tracey on Instagram, we'll pick someone and just give you that 6 months free. And there's also a link in the description for just a 30-day free trial as well, if you want to just give it a go and see if breathwork is your thing. And I've been doing it. So another thing for my year is breath work. I've done a ton of breath work
You
this
sure
year,
have.
and I actually do enjoy it. And I genuinely think it makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Gives you a bit more energy. What else? Yeah, if you have for the new year for season 2, if there's, we're very open to people giving us ideas for episodes. So you can email us or get in touch via social media. If you want to email us, just go to traceyquayle.com. Go to the contact page and shoot us an email. We read and reply to everything. And yeah, open to suggestions for future shows if there's something that you're struggling with. And if you want to join the mailing list, you can do so on the website as well. We send out a fortnightly newsletter. Okay, that's the end. The end of 2024.
How crazy.
I know, we did it. So come back in February of 2025 for season 2. And until then, see you later.
Bye.